You're more than the thing you do. Now, a couple of years back, I got my driving license. I passed my test, and I was probably a little bit late getting up and driving. Well, legally, I was driving around before that without a license, so if I was caught, I was screwed. So I was happy then that I actually did get my test and I got my license. Before that, I used to ride a motorbike, so I didn't really need a car license until we got married and had kids. And as you're probably well aware, you can't carry a baby seat around on the back of a motorbike, so it's time to get 4 wheels. So one of our neighbours is a driving instructor, and he's a really, really nice man. And I think I had something like 10 lessons with him, and he kind of knocked all the kind of bad habits out of me and whatever I needed to all the kinks I needed to get out of my driving so I would pass the test. And thankfully to him, I did pass my test. I was surprised. I thought at one stage I'd fail it, but at the end I was relieved when the instructor said you've passed. So as I drove up to the house that day, Catherine was standing at the doorway. Now, if you don't know who Catherine is, she's my wife. And she was all excitedly waiting to see what the news was. Did I pass or did I not pass? So as we drove up to the house, I gave her the thumbs up, and she began squealing and she ran out of the car and, threw her arms around me and gave me a big congratulatory hug. And, it was fantastic. I was relieved to have the test done. It now meant that I could drive the car and not have to worry about being stopped by the police, and I was legally covered to drive. But as I waved Sean off that day, he gave me a big smile and a wave. That was probably the last time I needed him, because I was qualified to drive now. But as he drove away, it's funny that as he drove away, he probably only considered himself as being a driver instructor, but he didn't really maybe consider the big change he'd made in my life. Now, as I said, we had kids at the time. We couldn't really go far. We'd done a lot of shopping, probably by taxi. There was a lot of walking and pushing buggies up and down town. Now, you probably aren't aware of what Newry is like, but Newry is one of those places that is in a hollow, so you're either walking downhill into it or you're walking uphill out of it. So as you can imagine, it's okay walking down into it, but when you're going the other way and you probably have bags of shopping and you have kids in buggies and it's probably raining and maybe the bus hasn't turned up, it can be a pain in the butt to get back to the house, and you're usually exhausted. So the fact that I had a driving license now meant that I could whiz into town, whiz back out with the shopping, and life was a lot better for me. But Sean had helped me pass my driving test, but as I said, he made such a big, huge difference in my life. It meant now that I could get into the car, start it up, and I could go in any direction as far as I wanted, because I now had my license. And sometimes we don't think about the things we do, the big changes it can make in someone's life. I might make this video here and maybe I mightn't be aware of, maybe I might inspire somebody maybe to take action, motivate somebody to keep going or whatever, because I'm just looking as somebody who is just making these videos and these podcast episodes. And you may look at yourself the same way too. You may see yourself as maybe just a fiction writer, somebody who could be writing maybe romance fiction or something like that, but you don't know the change you could be making in someone else's life on the other side. You never know how maybe some quote or something that happens to your character in a book could inspire somebody in real life to actually maybe to get out of a relationship that isn't working for them, maybe to take action on a goal of theirs or a dream of theirs, or maybe just to not listen to that negative, toxic family that they're living with, because the character in your book is going through that scenario, and it gives your reader that boost, the confidence, the motivation to maybe take those actions in real life themselves and do that. So I want you to think about what you're doing today. It's easy to forget and say, well, I'm just a writer, I'm just a blogger, I'm just somebody who does podcast episodes or YouTube videos or whatever it is you do. It's easy just to kind of label yourself with that kind of generic thing, but I want you to think a little bit deeper. I want you to think like Sean, my driving instructor. You may look at yourself that way, but the people on the other side, you could be making a big difference in their lives. You could be inspiring them. You could be making them maybe, start working on that goal that they've always wanted to do, from maybe a blog article that you'd wrote or something like that. So I want to keep that in mind. Maybe if you're feeling a little bit uninspired today, not motivated and thinking, well, what's the point of me actually showing up? I'm not making a difference in anyone's life. you don't actually know the difference you're making in some people's lives that you aren't aware of it. You know, some people could find this video in a couple of months' time, a couple of years' time, and maybe I might make a difference in somebody's life. You know, I might make a difference now, but you never know what could happen in the future. Again, your books could hit somebody at the right time and turn their life around. Again, even though you are writing fiction, don't dismiss fiction as kind of, you know, anything less than kind of non-fiction, because you're not actually teaching or training something. You know, you could be taking maybe somebody who is going through a tough time in life. They could be getting into the head of your character, and they could be getting a little bit of courage, they could be getting a little bit of inspiration, wisdom, or something like that, maybe to take action on where their life is, to get out of where their life is, or maybe to follow the dreams and goals that they want to go after. So think about that today. If you are feeling uninspired, not motivated, and maybe feeling like, well, what's the point, nobody's listening to me, maybe I should just give up. You never know what is going on the other side, and you are more than the things you do. Never forget that. So, as always, if you'd like to find more of this content, do a search for WriteCome. That's WriteCome.com. You can do that on Yahoo, Google, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You'll find my content all over the web. And if you come over to the WriteCome site right now, again, WriteCome.com, you'll find I have a great free report at the moment which is called Words to Wealth, and in it I'm going to show you 10 different ways you can make money from your writing. Now, you don't have to use all 10 ways, you can pick one that suits you, give it a go, and let me know how you get on with it. So, as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. Take care, have a great day, bye bye.